The Ochre Heart, a rural Australian canvas, an emotional story of love, art, and land following an elderly artist couple in rural Australia. Through their paintings, they capture the changing landscape, the passage of time, and life's quiet transformations, leaving behind a legacy steeped in heart and memory. Chapter 1: The Quiet Palette. The vast, ancient landscape of rural Australia stretched endlessly under a sky of seamless, boundless blue, a canvas of dry ochre earth meeting the sparse, resilient green of eucalyptus trees. The air, thick with the drowsy hum of cicadas and the distant, almost mournful bleat of sheep, vibrated with a timeless energy. At the very end of a long, dusty track, a faint red scar against the vastness, nestled amongst a cluster of gnarled, ancient gum trees, stood a weathered farmhouse. Its paint was peeling in places, a testament to decades of sun and wind. But vibrant bougainvillea spilled over the porch, a riot of fuchsia and crimson, a splash of defiant color against the muted tones of the bush. Inside, in a large north-facing room that served as their art studio, sunlight streamed in, golden and warm, illuminating dust motes, dancing in the air like tiny, shimmering spirits. The room itself was a sanctuary of creativity, a testament to a lifetime devoted to art and to this land. Easels laden with canvases in various stages of completion, tubes of paint in every conceivable shade spilling from wooden boxes, brushes soaking in cloudy jars of turpentine, and the faint, earthy, comforting scent of linseed oil permeating everything. Elijah, a man in his 70s, lean and weathered, his hands gnarled from years of holding brushes and working the stubborn land, sat at an easel. His face, etched with a lifetime of sun and profound thought, seemed to hold the vastness of the sky in its lines. He was meticulously painting a gnarled gum tree, its bark a tapestry of muted greens, browns, and grays, its twisted branches reaching towards the light outside the window, a silent, enduring sentinel. Across from him, Maeve, also in her 70s, moved with an elegance that defied her paint-splattered overalls. Her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, her eyes sharp and full of gentle humor. She worked on her own canvas. Her piece, an abstract interpretation of the sunrise over the distant hills, a riot of oranges, purples, and deep reds that seemed to capture the very essence of dawn breaking over the ancient landscape. They worked in comfortable, profound silence, a lifetime of shared understanding passing between them in glances, in the soft sighs that punctuated their brushstrokes, in the subtle rhythm of their shared breathing. They were an old artist couple, their love as deep and rooted as the ancient trees outside their window, as expansive as the sky above. They had lived in this house, on this very patch of land, for over 50 years, watching the seasons turn, the droughts bite, the rains return. Their movements were slower now, their bodies carrying the undeniable weight of time, of labor, of life lived fully. But their passion for art, for this land, remained undimmed, a vibrant flame in their hearts. There was a quiet understanding in their shared space, a subtle, almost unspoken awareness that these days were precious, finite, each one a gift. Elijah dipped his brush into a pot of dark green, his gaze fixed on the gum tree, its spirit speaking to him. "The light today, Maeve," he murmured, his voice raspy but warm. "It's singing, like the land knows." Maeve smiled, adding a stroke of crimson to her abstract sky, her eyes twinkling. "It always sings, my love. We just have to listen and paint what it tells us. They continued, two souls intertwined, translating the very spirit of their homeland onto canvas, enjoying their last days together, each brushstroke a quiet, vibrant testament to their enduring love and their profound, unbreakable connection to the land that had shaped them. Chapter 2: Roots and Rhythms. The golden light of the present-day studio, illuminating the dust motes dancing around Elijah and Maeve, seemed to shimmer and then dissolve, replaced by the vibrant, almost frenetic energy of 50 years prior. The same room, the same large window, but now younger, more alive, filled with the heady scent of fresh oil paint and the echoing laughter of two souls ablaze with passion. This was the studio as it had been when Elijah, then in his 20s, intense and already with hands stained perpetually with paint, first brought Maeve, fiery and bohemian, to his family farm. They had met at art school, in the bustling concrete heart of the city, drawn together by a shared vision, a mutual hunger for creation. But it was this land, the vast, ancient Australian countryside, that truly bound them, that ignited their artistic souls in a way the city's galleries and classrooms never could. Maeve, wiping a smudge of paint from Elijah's cheek, would laugh, a bright, melodic sound that filled the farmhouse. "Your father thinks I'm mad, leaving the city for this. No culture," he said. Elijah would smile, pulling her closer, his eyes reflecting the vastness outside. "He doesn't see the culture in the red earth, Maeve, or the rhythm in the wind. You do. That's why I brought you here. This is where the real art is." And so, their days became a passionate exploration of their new world. They spent countless hours roaming the property, sketching the gnarled, ancient rock formations that rose like sleeping giants from the earth, painting the vast, shifting skies that stretched from horizon to horizon, capturing the unique, ethereal light of the Australian bush. Their art was raw, energetic, deeply connected to the primal rhythm of the land, a stark contrast to the more refined, academic works they had produced in the city. They painted side by side, their easels often facing the same subject: a distant hill, a lone kangaroo, a shimmering heat haze. But through their distinct, passionate eyes, the canvases would burst forth with unique interpretations, a testament to their individual spirits intertwined. Maeve's voice, a quiet echo from the past, seemed to whisper in the present. "We were young, full of fire. We thought we'd change the world with our art. But the land, it changed us. It taught us patience. It taught us depth." Their love, too, deepened with every sunrise and sunset over the Ochre plains. They married under the sprawling branches of the old gum tree, a simple ceremony witnessed only by their closest family and the silent, ancient landscape itself. It was more than a wedding. It was a promise, a vow to each other and to this homeland, to always paint its spirit, to capture its beating heart. No matter how much time passed, no matter how much the world around them changed. Back in the present, Elijah and Maeve, older now, their hands gnarled by time, looked at a framed early painting of theirs, a vibrant, almost wild depiction of the very same gum tree Elijah was now meticulously painting. A quiet, knowing smile passed between them, a shared memory of boundless energy and a promise kept, contrasted with the slower, more contemplative pace of their present. The land had been their constant, their muse, their home, through all the changing seasons of their lives, and their art, a living testament to that enduring bond. Chapter 3. Shifting Sands. Time, relentless and unyielding, continued its march across the vast, ancient landscape, and Elijah and Maeve, rooted as they were to the red earth, witnessed its subtle, yet profound transformations. In the farmhouse kitchen, Maeve moved with a grace that belied her years, making tea, her gaze often drifting out the window to the distant fields, where once only dry, indigenous grasses and scattered sheep had dominated the view. Now modern irrigation lines crisscrossed the land, stark, geometric patterns against the natural curves of the earth. The dusty track leading to their house, a familiar ribbon of ochre, was now paved in parts, a jarring strip of bitumen, a clear sign of the encroaching world, bringing with it the hum of new machinery and the distant glint of unfamiliar structures. "Remember when this whole valley was just dry grass and scattered sheep?" Maeve mused softly to Elijah, who was sketching at the kitchen table, his concentration unbroken. Before the vineyards moved in, Elijah grunted, a sound of quiet acknowledgement, his eyes still fixed on his sketchpad. "And before Daniel left," he added, his voice tinged with a familiar, unspoken ache. "Before the city swallowed him whole. Their son, Daniel, now in his 40s, a successful city architect whose life was built on concrete and glass, rarely visited. He was a quiet ache between them, a living embodiment of the generational gap, the differing values that often felt like a silent chasm. They loved him fiercely, profoundly, but his choice to embrace a world so far removed from the red earth that had shaped his parents was a constant, unspoken sorrow. He was building his own world, Maeve would often remind Elijah, a world of ambition and modern design. A world without roots, Elijah would sigh, a lament for a connection he felt was lost. They didn't dwell on it, not overtly. Their art was their solace, their profound way of processing the changes, of preserving the land as they remembered it, as they felt it in their very souls. Elijah's current painting, a vast, sweeping landscape, subtly incorporated these shifts. The glint of new solar panels in the distance, catching the sun like alien eyes, the straight, uncompromising lines of new fences carving up ancient pathways. Maeve, in her studio, was working on a piece that captured the fierce resilience of a single, drought-stricken bush, its leaves defiant against a parched, cracked sky, a symbol of the land's enduring spirit despite the hardships. They had witnessed droughts that cracked the earth like ancient pottery, and floods that reshaped the riverbanks with terrifying force. They had seen the slow, inexorable creep of development, the changing faces of their small village, the arrival of new people with new ways. Their art had become a living chronicle of these shifts, a quiet lament for what was lost, but also a vibrant celebration of the land's enduring spirit, its capacity to adapt, to survive. They knew their own time was limited. Maeve's persistent cough, an unspoken reminder of their increasing frailty. And with that awareness, the urgency to capture this essence, this homeland, in all its changing glory, grew with every passing season. Each brushstroke, a desperate, loving attempt to hold on to the timeless heart of their world. Chapter 4. The Canvas of Memory. The studio, usually a vibrant hum of creative energy, now held a more subdued light in the late afternoon. Elijah and Maeve were working on their respective canvases, their movements slower, more deliberate, each stroke imbued with a quiet intensity that spoke of profound purpose. Maeve coughed, a dry, persistent sound that seemed to echo in the stillness, making Elijah pause his brushstroke. He glanced at her, a flicker of concern in his vast, sky-colored eyes. They didn't speak of it, the increasing frailty that touched their bodies, the subtle signs of time's relentless march, but the undeniable truth of their dwindling days hung in the air, a shared understanding that needed no words. Their art, once a passionate exploration of the land, had evolved into something far more profound. It was no longer just art, but tangible memories, distilled emotions, a vibrant, living record of their life together, and their unbreakable connection to the homeland that had shaped every fiber of their being. Elijah's current work was a detailed, almost photographic representation of a particular rock formation, its ancient contours rendered with meticulous care. It was a place they used to visit as young lovers, a secluded spot where they would share dreams and whisper promises under the vast Australian sky. Every crack, every lichen-covered surface was painted with a reverence that spoke of decades of shared history. Maeve, on her easel, was immersed in a swirling, impressionistic piece, capturing the raw, elemental feeling of a summer storm rolling in across the plains. A vivid memory of seeking shelter together under a vast, angry sky, huddled close, finding comfort in each other's presence amidst the fury of nature. Her brushstrokes were fluid, capturing the movement of wind and rain, the electric charge in the air, the profound sense of being utterly alive in the face of nature's power. "Do you think anyone will understand what we're trying to say, Elijah?" Maeve asked, her voice a little weaker, but still carrying that spark of gentle humor. "After we're gone." Elijah, mixing a deep, earthy ochre on his palate, turned to her, his gaze unwavering, filled with a quiet certainty. "They'll see the land, Maeve," he replied, his voice raspy but firm. "And if they look close enough, they'll see us. Our heart, our truth." It was a promise, a shared belief that their art would transcend their mortality, that the spirit of their love and their homeland would live on through the canvases they left behind. With a renewed sense of purpose, they began a new collaborative piece, a large, pristine canvas placed carefully between their easels, a shared space for their final, intertwined creation. It was a landscape, yes, but also, unmistakably, a portrait of their shared life, a visual symphony of their enduring love. Elijah, with his steady gnarled hands, painted the sturdy ancient trees, their roots deep in the red earth, symbols of resilience and permanence. Maeve, with her fluid, expressive strokes, added the vibrant, fleeting wildflowers that burst forth after the rains, symbols of beauty and renewal, of life's transient joy. Their hands, paint-stained and trembling slightly with age, worked in silent harmony, a lifetime of love flowing through their brushes, each stroke a whispered conversation, a shared memory, a final, heartfelt embrace of the homeland that had shaped them, nurtured them, and now witnessed their quiet, beautiful farewell. This painting was their legacy, a final conversation with the land, and a message to anyone who might find it, a testament to their enduring love, a visual poem of their shared journey, and a final, heartfelt embrace of the homeland that shaped them. Chapter 5. The Ochre Heartbeat. A few months later, the farmhouse studio was still, filled with a profound, almost sacred quiet. Sunlight, thin and pale, streamed through the large, north-facing window, illuminating dust motes that danced in the air. But the vibrant hum of creative energy that once filled the space was gone. The easels stood, their canvases finished, vibrant and alive, silent witnesses to the final acts of love and creation. Elijah's last painting of the gnarled gum tree stood on his easel, its bark a tapestry of muted greens and browns, imbued with a profound sense of peace, a quiet strength that mirrored the man himself. Maeve's final work, the abstract sunrise over the distant hills, glowed with an inner light, a riot of oranges, purples, and deep reds that seemed to pulse with her enduring spirit. But in the very center of the room, on the large shared easel, stood the Ochre heart, their breathtaking collaborative masterpiece. It was a perfect fusion of their individual styles, Elijah's sturdy, ancient trees standing alongside Maeve's vibrant, fleeting wildflowers, a visual poem of their intertwined lives, a testament to a love that had flowed through their brushes onto the canvas. Daniel, now in his 40s, dressed in a dark suit that felt alien in the rustic setting, walked slowly into the studio. He had received the call from a distant cousin, the news of his parents' passing delivered with a quiet solemnity. He hadn't been back to the farm in years, his life in the city a stark contrast to the red earth that had shaped his parents. The silence of the house was profound, heavy with unspoken grief, a familiar ache in his chest for the words that had never been said, the connections never fully forged. He saw the paintings, his gaze drawn immediately to the vibrant colors, the familiar landscapes that had been the backdrop of his childhood. He recognized the gnarled gum tree, the distant hills, the unique golden light of the Australian bush that his parents had captured so perfectly. He approached the Ochre heart, his eyes scanning the intricate details, the subtle interplay of their two distinct styles. He saw his father's steady, deliberate brushstrokes in the earth, in the ancient roots of the trees, speaking of permanence and resilience. He saw his mother's fluid, expressive lines in the sky, in the vibrant, ephemeral wildflowers, speaking of beauty and transient joy. He saw the land he had left behind, not as a place of quiet obligation, but as a living, breathing entity, imbued with his parents' love, their very essence poured into its canvas. He reached out a trembling hand, running it gently over the textured surface of the painting, and in that moment, a profound sense of understanding washed over him, a clarity that brought tears to his eyes. "You were always here," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion, the words catching in his throat. Always. He finally understood the language of their love, a language spoken not in grand declarations, but in paint, in the land, in the quiet, enduring spirit of their homeland. The paintings were not just art. They were their legacy, a testament to a love that transcended words, a connection to the land that outlived them, a vibrant, timeless heartbeat that resonated through the ancient landscape. The old artist couple had indeed enjoyed their last days together, painting works with the feel of their homeland. And in their final strokes, they had left behind a vibrant, enduring heartbeat that would forever pulse within the red earth. As the sun began its slow descent over the Nullarbor plain, painting the sky in fiery hues, the land remained ancient and timeless, holding the spirit of those who loved it, those who painted its ochre heart. The farmhouse stood, a silent testament, its bougainvillea still spilling vibrant color over the porch. The cicadas hummed, The wind whispered through the gum trees, carrying the silent, enduring song of the land and the profound, enduring love that was poured into its canvas.